We're going to open the Board of Selectmen's meeting for September 9th. The meetings of the Board of Selectmen are recorded for transmission on Berlin Cable Television and YouTube. Your voice and image may be recorded. Let's see. Do we have minutes to approve?
No, Mary doesn't have those.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda is general public comment, or no, correspondence, I'm sorry. And we did get some correspondence from Recreation Committee. You want to?
Okay. Here we are.
You look like you're from another nation.
I do.
Yes.
The color.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm dark, yeah.
Yes, you are.
No poison ivy yet, so good.
That's good.
So I was just concerned about the EEE virus.
Right, right.
It's neighboring all these towns and with the case in detected. What the plan was for our town. I know I spoke with the soccer board and they met and they discussed, because we only have 3 teams really on the grounds till 6:30. And they discussed, should we leave it at 6:30, bring it back to 6? And then they compared surrounding towns and they felt like 6:30 was a good time. But I know the fireworks for home days coming up too. And Northborough canceled theirs for their Apple Fest. I just don't know what the board recommendation here is moving forward.
Do you have a recommendation?
So, the purpose of this was to have a discussion, given that Tripoli is in the area, and people need to be vigilant. As Julie mentioned, Marlborough has actually closed down use of the recreation fields. I believe there are other municipalities that have done that. However, I think, at the very least, based on this conversation, it might be advisable for the board to strongly recommend that organizations using the town fields or any fields or having any outdoor activities be vigilant and try to limit their use after dusk. That's when we've been informed by DPH that mosquitoes are most prevalent. So we're happy. I know that we'd be able to actually post information. We received some information as late as today, a lot of information from DPH. We could publicize that widely. The board could ask through Julie and Recreation that they convey messages to the tenants of the field, that they beware of mosquitoes and take proper precautions. So bottom line is, I don't have a specific recommendation, but I do think that it's incumbent upon us to publicize the issues and make sure people are protecting themselves. It's here, so.
And just so we have a little bit of, data proximity, Marlborough and Hudson are closing at 7. Northborough's closing at 6, and our high school shut down their outdoor activities at 6.
I believe the intent at this point, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is to cancel the fireworks.
I know,
Okay.
but
Yeah, because it would be
safety,
it would be even darker.
Yeah.
And later.
And we were there late, like almost 10 o'clock last time, cleaning up afterwards, so I don't want anyone to have to get stuck cleaning, being there much later than, it's just, if it's, people are worried about it.
Would you think about postponing, rescheduling for another time, or would you rather not?
Winter fireworks.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Winter fireworks.
We can
New
talk
Year's
about it.
Eve.
I mean,
This is
a
not a
lot
good
to-
time to ask.
it's a lot to
Seriously.
organize.
I know.
But,
Yeah.
so I don't,
Well, you could put it on hold till after and
right. Well, yeah, I mean,
then
we'll
talk
just
about it.
play it more by ear, I guess, but
Yeah.
in general, we discussed it today, and the risk, I think people are gonna find, like the same way you feel, the risk is too high to bring their kids out anyway.
Right.
So,
I was going to say that seems to be the talk.
Yeah,
Parents
we're
are
gonna end the event at 6, so hopefully cleanup and stuff is done by 7, 8. It'll be mostly us there, not
Yeah.
like, I don't know,
Yeah.
A bunch
people
of
from the
people,
town.
You and a bunch of Deep Woods off.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Right.
All the wonderful people who are going to stick around to help.
right.
Yeah.
We'll have bug spray. So, not an easy decision, I'm sure, but a wise decision.
Yeah.
It's really the board's prerogative as to how to proceed with use of the fields. and activities after dusk.
Tom, do you have anything to add?
Just, it's err on the side of caution. I don't. People are going to do what they want to do.
Yes.
I think that's the
Yeah.
reality of it. Is the comments I've made to people. If something this big takes me down, it takes me down.
Oh, gee.
But and that's all we can do. Is we can put as much information out as possible. I mean, the area's flooded with information, anyways. Make sure people are aware and just be smart.
So, how does the board feel about a time?
6 o'clock, shut it down. I want Berlin on the news, I don't want Berlin on the news for that. And I don't want any resident of town or of a neighboring town, because we decided to let it go to 6:30 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Lisa?
I guess there were recommendations on the sheet that we got. I don't know if they were that early, but
Some
You
some
felt-
towns were shutting down
you
at
felt
6
6?
and some at 7.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Some have cut.
But sunset's happening earlier and earlier now, so.
Yeah. I actually feel like what the schools are doing, I think maybe we should do the same,
That, I was thinking, yeah.
like
Okay.
6 o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah, to show solidarity there.
Yeah. So,
Do we have to make a motion? Or just a recommendation?
I
Or-
think this is just a recommendation, is
Okay.
it not?
Yeah, recommendation
It's
that
not
the
a-
fields be shut down.
if
Now,
you
you
could-
have a way to convey this to the tenants or the people using the fields, right?
I sure do, yes.
Okay, good.
General public, that would be.
We can, and we can put the board's vote on, online with all the information that we've gotten from DPH. So we can put the board's recommendation online too.
Okay.
is it a possibility to send a message to the schools too?
Yes.
Just to let them know?
Yes. Would you like, you have Code Red here, would the board at all be interested in putting out a Code Red community outreach message just as an informational thing rather than as an alarmist type thing? And that way we can point recipients of the call to the town's website for more information and links to DPH and things like that.
Yeah, I think
Is
so.
that, I just wondered, is that how you
Yeah.
feel that should be used?
There's some neighboring communities that have done it. They did it over the weekend after everything's been going on, Sudbury especially. Sudbury, Northborough, those communities have been doing that. So it's not a bad idea. We have the ability to do it and just put some more information out. I think especially for our seniors, it goes to home phones. And for a lot of them, that's their only means of communication. They're
Right.
not necessarily going on the internet. They're not on their cell phone.
Right.
So
I think that's a great idea.
I will put something together and we'll talk about it, look at a message, and we'll put it out tomorrow.
We can, and we can run it by Board of Health too. I know they wanted to be here, but couldn't, but they've been very involved in the conversation, so.
Okay.
And we can hook in Evie as well to get information out to 19 Carter. Carter. Where folks hang out, that it can be handouts. I think I'm going to move to Carter Street just so I can say Carter. Just to get the information out that way. So we try to hit as many possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we post something down there on the commons?
Do you have that ability?
I mean, we could make it work.
Yeah, if you
Then it
can
would
do
just
that.
say, I would just need the verbiage, because I don't want to write.
This is also something you could use that blinking sign from. or-
Oh,
That's
blinky sign.
absolutely
Oh,
true.
great idea.
That would be,
Yeah.
that would be true.
But just not
Okay.
alarmist, just use
Right.
caution,
Yeah.
Right. So if the board
Fields
wants to
are
make a motion, it
closed.
could be something, something like the Board of Selectmen has voted to strongly recommend that fields not be used after dusk or effective at 6 p.m. Because of the Triple E threat, something to that effect. That's what Hudson did. Hudson had this strong recommendation as opposed to the flat out shutting it down, so.
So moved.
Seconded.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
We can come up with something too for the Lions Club. They can put it on the white sign right in the center of town too.
Oh,
And
yeah,
hit
that's great.
Hit people to and
Yep.
fro. Okay.
Because the pond would be
You're in charge.
because you
yeah.
see people down at the pond a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a good spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
We just gotta come up with wording.
Yeah.
Small wording for the Lions Club.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to make a general public comment at this time? Okay, that was fast. So it's a little bit past 7:10, so we're going to meet with the Home Day Committee for their event application approval. Do you want them
Come on up.
come on up?
One here, one over there, so the camera can get you.
And are we still awaiting fire department sign off on the food trucks? Yes?
Yes, food trucks.
They cannot be inspected until the day of, is what Mr. Litchwell said to
Okay.
us.
Have they filed their applications though with Neshoba? That's the one thing we need.
3 out of 4 of them have,
Okay.
so we're working on it.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything else that's outstanding, or is that it?
The stage design.
Oh, and then, yeah, the building commissioner would like to look at the sketch of the stage design.
He has.
Oh, has he? Okay,
Yep,
good.
we were talking about it. We were emailing about it.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
But also that can't be inspected until
Right.
day
Day
of.
of.
Right. Okay.
Is he available to do that, or
Tomorrow.
He sounded like he would actually be there that day and would probably be bringing his grandchild.
Aw,
So
that's nice. All right, so.
So my
pending
recommendation
these-
is that the board approves the special event permit contingent on completion of any outstanding issues.
Okay. So moved?
So moved.
All right. Second? Second. I second it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And omitting the fireworks, yes.
Oh, yes, and omitting fireworks.
No fireworks. Event will be 1 to 6 p.m. So
Right, we'll
everyone's
change it
out
on the
here by
thing
6.
too.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Ladies.
Thank you.
All right. And Chief Galvin.
Someday I'm gonna get to sit up here and say nothing happened last month.
Yeah?
Yeah,
What world are
apparently
you
not this
living in
month,
when
though.
you do that?
Come on.
No, apparently not this month.
No, unfortunately, every month is a lot more going on. So let's see. So what have we been following up from last month? Our break-in at the Verk that we talked about, that kind of made media and the crawling bandits and all that.
Oh, was that, I saw those on the news tonight. I didn't know it was.
So we were the
them.
first. We were the first one.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So that investigation continues. Detective Trangone is actually working with a group of detectives from basically from Southborough to southern New Hampshire and out west as far as Ware, I believe now.
Really?
On that, they're making some progress. Hope is that they're gonna be able to put some things together soon because. That does lead to quite a bit more overtime when they have to follow up and continue to meet and share information. So that's really the old business. August in and of itself was a pretty busy month. 833 calls, up over last year. Last year we were at 726. Kind of the norm. We've been seeing increases. 8 with criminal charges, 2 arrests. 20 motor vehicle crashes, which I'm sure you've seen in some of our social media posts. They just keep coming. 9 of those with injuries. It was tough. One of the things I've been tracking, we talked about last month, was medical calls that we were responding to. I know you hear from the fire chief about medical calls, but how we went June from 19, July 37, and then 49 in August. It just keeps happening. What I include in these medical calls are pretty much anything an ambulance goes out that we go on. So it's lift assists, which generally end up turning into medical calls, the medical calls, and then crashes with injury. So I think it's a combination of, an aging population, more people coming through town, but it's a little bit interesting to see just how big of a jump we've seen in medical calls. So hopefully,
What do you attribute that to?
again,
The
we
more
do
calls,
we
the
do
more-
have an aging population in town. There are a lot to certain addresses, maybe on Pleasant Street, where a lot of people congregate in the same area. 135 Pleasant is an area where we have the ambulance goes to a lot. Also, the increase in calls that are going to the urgent care. And
But even all the rest of the calls,
And
they're up
crashes.
100 from
They're up.
last year.
think one thing I'm going to talk about later is traffic. Just the sheer number of
Yeah.
people that are coming through town. We're seeing, we see development, so we know because of the development here, we're going to see changes. But it's not only here. There's proposed and projects and recently finished projects all around us.
Right.
So this area of the state, the population's, increasing. And as that happens, there's more people, more things are going to happen. And, people sometimes don't get along.
Now, what are your feelings about staffing, given that things seem to be on the rise?
I think right now we're okay. I say right now. We added staff in the past as we kind of geared up for Highland Commons and Riverbridge. I think it's going to be a wait and see right now to really see what the effect of Riverbridge over the next year and go from there. One thing where we're definitely seeing an increase in time being spent is in investigations. We don't have a full-time detective. So Detective Trongone is in patrol, and then we pull him out of patrol to do investigations and have to cover his shifts. So that becomes an issue. So that's something we're going to have to look at as we continue to move and our population continues to change and the whole region continues to change. So
Thank you.
it's definitely on the horizon. It's something that we forecasted out, FY 21-22, where we may need to add another body. When we did that public safety capital plan, Chief Z and I, that was one of the things we looked at to try and put something out there, kind of as a placeholder to say, this is coming and we need to be aware of it.
And it just seems like it's ramping up rapidly.
It is, but
If you
the hope
plan
is that
for it.
maybe things are going to plateau, or maybe we're going to get a month where things quiet down. If we get lucky and we have a winter where there's not a lot of snow and things like that, we'll have less accidents over the winter. It tends to get a little bit quieter in the winter when people are indoors and things like that. So we're going to see what happens. Had a couple of unfortunate incidents in August. We did have a fatal heroin overdose. 25-year-old male that was visiting someone in town overdosed and passed away. On the same day at the same time. So to kind of give you an idea how things can go from 0 to 100, we had a call with the state police on Bridge Road. 2 kayakers on the river discovered some containers that they believe contained human remains. So it, you can't make this stuff up. So this now,
See,
It's
you
okay,
need to
don't
come to
worry.
these meetings more often. Look at the things that you find out.
So what was interesting, and generally things come to us quickly, the state police took the initial call on this, troopers responded, and we actually didn't find out about it until they were looking for a dive team. So now we had actually 4 other calls going on simultaneously. So we actually had our officers tied up on the overdose call. We had just cleared another call. We had Hudson handling a motor vehicle accident with injuries. We had Northborough handling a possible domestic case. It was just, it all happened at once. I happened to be at home and see the page go out for the dive team activation, so that piqued my interest. And I already had a conversation with the sergeant about the overdose. And so I called and I said, what's going on? He goes, they called. I don't even have time to get there. I said, all right, I'll go for a ride. And ended up traipsing through the woods and through the river. And we recovered 2 large Rubbermaid containers that had blood in it. One had some tissue in it. We were able to get samples out to the medical examiner's office. And after a few days, it was determined that they weren't human, which is a good thing. It looks like probably what it was a hunter, someone who maybe froze deer parts or other things in one of these containers to use as like coyote bait, which is not uncommon, and probably got lazy and dumped them off over the bridge. And they never completely emptied. They floated down and ended up looking. While we were out there traipsing through the woods, we found 2 safes that had been stolen in some sort of break-ins that actually happened to be in Marlboro. So gave Marlboro a couple of other investigations to handle while we were out in the woods. It was just
Worth
one of those
walking
days.
in the woods once
Yeah,
in a while.
sometimes days
Maybe.
just
Never know what you're
I like
that.
So as we've also had happen in the past, we had another social media post go viral. We had a great video of a traffic crash that a motorist behind someone had taken of a vehicle hitting a now famous telephone pole on Central Street. And that woman who was involved in the crash was very forthcoming and actually admitted to texting while driving. So we thought after a few weeks we would post the video kind of as a little public service announcement to get it out to people to be aware of what's going on. And it took off. So all, the local media, Boston media, picked up on it. They came out here to do a few interviews with me. Then they were actually going to go live at 11 p.m. that night from the parking lot here, and someone took out the same pole. So they went live from Central Street, and it just steamrolled from there. And I got phone calls from across the country. AAA is actually going to use the video for a public service campaign. A couple of cities in California are doing it. And I actually got a text message from a friend who was on vacation in Portugal because the BBC picked up the story and he saw my interview when he was overseas. So, little
New York
Berlin.
Post picked it up,
Yeah,
so yeah.
it was, you Google it and it comes across just about every news affiliate across the country. So it was pretty neat. And very fortunate that the young woman who was driving was not hurt seriously. We had within a week we had another crash on River Road, another car that took out a pole that driver also admitted to texting. It's a problem. There's if you're paying attention, familiar with that road, there's no reason you're going to hit that pole. So there's some issues. So it's been busy.
Is there anything that the public can do? I mean, you deputize people to do blah, blah, blah?
I don't know if you saw the story that was in the news this morning, the person that was asleep on the highway in the Tesla.
Yes.
Self-driving.
Two of them.
It's, people just life needs to slow down.
Yeah.
And we're not.
Yeah.
We're always attached to our phone, we're always on the go, we're always late.
Because you're trying to do too much.
We're trying to do too much, and it's kind of become human nature. Hopefully things will kind of come full circle and maybe we'll slow down in life again. But as of right now, people need to be accountable to themselves and pay attention. We're all guilty of, at times this thing makes noise or something in the car distracts us. It's not only a phone. It might be my kids. It might be something else. We need to realize that we're driving something that can hurt ourselves, hurt our passengers, or hurt somebody else. There's a lot of near misses. You drive down any road and there's mirrors here, mirrors there, where people hit a mailbox or hit a pole because they're not paying attention and they drift off. So we just need to take a second and realize what's important and being safe. So I talked about traffic. You had emailed me about the traffic and the discussions that we'd had in the past. As we discussed before, the state has made a commitment to address the issues at 495 southbound and 290. And kind of the way we left it with them is that's going to be within the next 24 months, or it was 24 months a few months ago when we met. And then we're going to look at the potential of doing a traffic study here on the state's behalf. That doesn't take away from the information that is or should be available to us. I don't know if you saw there were some tubes in the road recently that CMRPC also does take some traffic info. I think a lot of that goes to Tim. I haven't seen any, but we're actually having a meeting on the 23rd for the TIP program, the Transportation Improvement Plan with CMRPC, to look at starting to push forward some of the Complete Streets projects that we've done. We've done a lot of planning over the last year and a half, looking at our issues with traffic and pedestrian safety around town. So we have a list of projects, and to try and look at what's available for funding and what we can do to start to bring some of this to fruition.
Okay.
I left my folder downstairs. I had some ACO reports I just wanted to show you, but just to give you an update on the ACO, we're going to meet this week. There's a report form that she and I have been going over and going back and forth, because the reports now are more like her notes. So we're trying to get, what I'd like to do, and she and I are working together, is to get an actual report on each incident that I can actually then scan into and track within our records management system that we already have. Because she's in contact with dispatch on almost every call anyways, and that way an incident will be created and then her report can be scanned in so it's trackable for the future. Her phone, I did order her a cell phone. It actually came in today. So before the end of the week, we'll be getting together to finalize this and continue to move forward. So we've had a few conversations over the last couple of weeks, both in person and on the phone, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
There've been a lot of calls.
It's up and down. There haven't been too many. We did have a fox that we had to send out for rabies testing recently and a few other things, but
Now you have to be on the lookout for something else.
monkeys.
Ducks.
There's animals. They're out here all the time.
They were here
You know,
first, you
yeah,
know,
it's-
so-
it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's what it is.
Just don't be dumb.
So for an update on the charging station grant, when that came to fruition, we kind of rushed to get that done because we were on a deadline. You know, we found the best, it was something that was really great to take advantage of, and we found, you know, a location that was the easiest alternative, would have been relatively inexpensive to install. But with the number of companies I have now met with, looking at, it's not going to be a huge cost ultimately to the town, but it will be money out of our pocket that we may never recover, whether we're selling electricity or what we're doing. So I've had some discussions with National Grid. This program is not going away. They've actually upped the incentive coming up through May of 2020 till that where they'll take, depending on how many charging heads you put in, they'll handle that 5 years of service that we needed to sign on for. And I had just asked today a clarifying question on that, and I'm waiting to hear back. But I think we need to slow down, not rush and put it in. There's been a discussion over the last few years on repairing the parking lot. If that's something that's going to happen in the near future, we probably should do something along the lines, we can get the charging stations then away from the side of the building, not near the mailboxes where we would have put it, to not have to dig up everything. And then it may also allow us to take advantage of part of the state's EVIP program. So they actually have a separate program that will offset some of the costs as well. And hopefully we can do this with zero out of pocket for the town, which would really be the best benefit. And then we just need to make a determination on how we're going to handle either selling the energy or if we're going to give it away to people for short periods of time. So I think we need to kind of pull back, slow down for a while, and do a better job. You know, I think we wanted to take advantage of it because it was hard to give the money away. I mean, they were going to give us a substantial amount of money for something that we probably should have in the future. But if we can do it and do it at a lower cost or no cost, and it takes a little bit longer, I think it's a better idea to take that approach.
Back to the ACO update.
Yeah.
Could I know that Helen gave her first report, I think, to
I actually,
Mary.
yeah, I had a whole folder I meant to bring up, and I left it downstairs.
Would it be possible for you to just forward them to us? So
I'll
that we
forward
can
you a
at
few
least-
examples. I don't have to give you, I mean, I have a stack of them for the whole year, and I'll give you a few. And then as we transition to these, what I'll do next month is
Yeah.
I'll include some of these. And,
Right, well, even if you just
and
wait
then
till
and then
those.
yeah, what I'll do is when I get these every month, I'll be able to add a summary of these to my report. So,
Either way, I
Okay.
mean, just because we're still the appointing authority, I just
Right.
wanted to make sure that things are moving in a positive
Yep.
direction.
yep, absolutely is, and I think we're on the right track.
And the-
just, oh, I'm sorry, you had more.
Oh, I was just going to ask of policies, if you're working on any policies.
I have a draft policy that I'm going
Okay.
to go over with her the next time we meet that covers the reporting. We've talked a lot about what's in it, but I haven't actually had her hold and read the language that's in it.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And I just had a question about the form. One of the places I think we've fallen down in the past is following up with the people who make the calls.
Yeah.
Is there something on there just to make
This-
sure that there was follow-up made and the person who...
Yeah, I could put some sort of checkbox on her for
Yeah.
that if follow-up was required and if it was done. I think that's been one of the problems is that there's been no way to track it because if the call didn't come through dispatch or something happened, we didn't even have a record of it. And a lot of things that came through dispatch weren't necessarily tracked at all because they kind of came in as a question. Similar to if someone comes in and has a question for a police officer and they transfer a call, they make a call to her and then she calls back and then they're out of the loop so they don't necessarily know if an incident needed to be created. So.
Yeah.
And one question on the speeding through town, I know some folks
Yes.
were concerned and were offering up their driveways for you guys to go hang out in.
Yes.
But you mentioned that you were gonna put a plan together. I mean,
So-
obviously, you're busy,
Yeah.
you know, slightly busy here and there. Just didn't know where that kind of fell in the,
It's still in the works. You know, we've been pushing people. Sergeant Shartner, it's kind of going to be his project that I want him to finish. But it's been a little tough month
Okay.
to get it done. But we have a couple of things we're working on, and that's one of them to get finished. So we'll update that. But then if you hear from more people that have specific complaints, because everyone doesn't necessarily reach out to me, and if they're willing to offer up a driveway, some officers feel comfortable sitting there, some don't. But you
I
know,
bring out iced tea to mine.
the more options are,
Yeah.
more options are better.
Need to bring out this.
So.
Yeah, you can
Yeah, I know.
also-
No, we
Derbies.
just had people, little 9/11 tribute drop off bags of candy and stuff. We're okay with that stuff.
Yeah. Derby's a speedway, so you're welcome
Yeah.
to sit. Tim
Yep.
Tim was more than happy to have you sit in our driveway.
I'm telling you, between 4:45 and
It's
6 in
terrible.
my driveway, we will
It's-
fund the town.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, we
Cool.
go out there with the horses, and it's sometimes terrifying.
So
It's-
through the chair, just back to the charging station real
Yes.
quick. That's something else we can talk with the transportation planners about at our meeting.
Yeah,
They might
okay.
have some information on that.
Excellent.
And might be able to help us through that
Yeah.
process.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right.
Coffee
Thank you very
time,
much.
but I'll send you
Yes,
the
I mean,
invite.
just, whenever the date is.
Okay, cool.
I'll plan on this one.
Thank you, chief.
All right, no problem. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. He's not coming to Coffee Talk?
I was gonna invite him.
Oh, okay.
Him
Okay.
and Chief Clark.
Oh, I thought maybe you were saying he couldn't make it or something.
No, he said he was gonna be there.
Okay, great. Town administrator report.
Okay, I'm gonna pull out some of the highlights of this. It's really only 3 pages. The last page is just a reiteration of the recreational marijuana establishment local information stayed on from last week. All right, so first I will update the board on the department head job searches and selection processes. The building commissioner selection process is underway. I have confirmed with one municipal building professional and the Berlin Town Accountant, June, to serve in a preliminary interview team, and that would wrap up building code issues, zoning enforcement issues, financial issues. And 2 other municipal building officials I've reached out to, I'm waiting to hear back from. I'm not sure if either or both will be available, but I do, and also I've reached out to resident and ZBA Chair Liz Ryan because I thought that might be a very good connection because the building commissioner is the zoning enforcement officer. I've asked them or invited them to participate, and so I'm awaiting their responses. Preliminary interviews will tentatively be scheduled for next week, the middle of next week, and we'll be contacting candidates by tomorrow for interview times. And then no more than 3 candidates will be brought to the board as early as September 23rd for final interviews. Okay?
Did you say how many applications you had?
Yeah, last week I
sorry,
reported that
I
we had
missed it.
6. We had a half
Okay.
dozen, yeah.
If for some reason Lynn can't do it, they also work very closely with conservation. You might want to consider John. Sawyer
Excellent, if we have, okay.
Amy.
Or even one of the
Okay.
other ZBA members?
All right, terrific. That
James
would
is-
be, yeah.
Pretty good.
So there would be that connection there, so I thought that would be a good fit. Fire chief search. That job posting, I think we have it on our website as of today.
Tonight.
Oh, we will tonight. And we're coordinating this with MRI. MRI is doing limited advertising. They are going to put the advertisement up on their website. They'll facilitate other advertisements for us, but we will have to pay to post directly with associations. So we plan on doing MMA, FCAM, through the recruiter's website, our website, Facebook, and possibly some other venues that aren't prohibitively costly. And then the resumes for that position will be due to the Selectman's office by Friday, October 11th. Brian from MRI will help in screening resumes, and we'll put together a preliminary interview team for that as well. And finally, treasurer collector. That was posted on September 4th. That has a resume submission deadline of October 4th. And the preliminary interview team will consist of the 3 local officials that the board had already noted previously, and 2 municipal finance professionals from other communities. We are continuing to work on the CPA administrative process. The CPA bill insert that the board previously saw a draft of will be finalized at our next administrative finance team meeting, which is next week. Then the insert, the CPA exemption form, and other CPA information will be uploaded to the website for people's information. So we'll start publicizing. We'll also prepare a press release for that. As the police chief noted, we're going to be, fire chief, highway superintendent, and I will be meeting with CMRPC transportation staff on September 23rd about the MassDOT Complete Streets Tier 3 project opportunities, Safe Routes to Schools project opportunities, and potential projects for the Transportation Improvements Program, the TIP. Those are the big ticket projects. So we're going to be able to look at small projects and big projects in the same meeting. After the board's last meeting, I contacted KP Law to request a workshop in October on social media, website posting, open meeting law, and code of conduct. I have not heard back yet, so I'll be following up with them tomorrow. Coffee Talk 4.0. At your last meeting, there was consensus on having the Coffee Talk 4.0 on either October 21st or 23rd. It is confirmed for Wednesday, October 23rd, 7 p.m. at 19 Carter. And the agenda is going to be posted in accordance with the open meeting law.
At 6:30.
At...
Yeah, 6:30
Oh,
for us.
6:30, I'm sorry.
6:30 for us, and then 7 o'clock for True Coffee Talk.
Got it.
And it, you know, could go out there.
Ish.
Are you gonna
It could go
have-
out there as published for both, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you'll have your regular meeting on a Wednesday night that week, is
Right.
that right? Got it, okay.
Short version.
So no TA report, is that what you're saying?
No.
Or only the TA
Or you could
report,
give
just
that-
saying.
You can give that
You can
during
give that
Coffee
during
Talk.
Coffee Talk.
Oh, okay, yes, I'll hold
Seriously,
off
that's
till
what I mean.
coffee talk.
Yeah.
Okay, Julie has informed us that there are a few residents that might be interested in joining Recreation Committee.
Oh, great.
So they will, if they're interested, they will fill out the volunteer forms, and I think Julie has a few names that the members of the Recreation Committee would support joining, so we look forward to seeing those applications coming in.
Great.
Meanwhile,
Well done.
June has advised that in the absence of a quorum on the Recreation Committee, the 2 remaining members will sign, and then I'll sign as a third person. So I'll review and sign on behalf of the board.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
And I am beginning, I've reached out through CMRPC to other area towns regarding possible shared service and shared equipment opportunities, particularly facilities coordinator, director positions, HR consulting, highway bucket truck. I can't remember if there's anything else. That's why I put et cetera. But I do actually have appointments with a representative from CMRPC and 2 town administrators in surrounding towns, just to talk about these initial thoughts and possibly getting together for shared services. It would be cost effective and I think worthwhile talking with other towns to see what we could accomplish through intermunicipal agreements. Finally, it was already announced, but Old Home Day is Saturday, September 28th, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. And no fireworks now, but I wanted to put a plug in for the cornhole tournament. So we're looking for people to sign up for cornhole. Yes, I'll be running the tournament. I'll be running the tournament. All for fun, all for fun.
And if no one wins, if no one joins, then I win automatically because I signed up.
Sign up, it'll be fun. I'll be sure it's fun.
I'll
Okay.
post it back out there. I mean, it's on Berlin Neighbors Connect, Berlin United something,
And-
on the Old Home page.
Old Home Day has it up on their
Yeah,
Facebook.
so, and I can drop off stuff around town to remind people. I have it until the 25th to email me directly and with their times, and then I've just got a sheet that I can forward to you when it's done
For signups?
Yeah.
Or, okay, for signups.
for signups.
Are you accepting signups, or is Old Home Day
Well,
accepting signups?
Are you-
We probably would have done it through us just so that we know what's going on.
Okay. All right.
I just need to reiterate that only 8 teams can sign up. That's all we have time
Right.
for with the blocks of time we have, so
Right now we have
it's
one.
eight teams. We
Are
need
you a
7 more.
seasoned
So we
player?
need, so forget talking about,
I have a question.
Come
Yes.
on, come
Just
on.
because we did a cornhole tournament too, down in the Commons. When you say 8 teams sign up, it's just all ages.
Yes.
So you have 40-year-olds competing with like 10-year-olds. I mean, I'm just asking. Yes.
We didn't make any age, when you and I talked, we didn't make any age restrictions on it.
I hadn't thought about age restrictions, and I think 10-year-olds are perfectly capable of tossing a
Well, they definitely are, but I
bean
know.
bag. They could be skilled. So it would be mixed. It would be everyone.
And it's a one-shot, how does it work?
Single elimination, only to 11, not to 21,
Okay.
because we only have limited times. So we'll shorten
Do you need boards?
it. I think
yeah.
Lisa has boards.
We haven't discussed that specifically. We put together 4. If you have more that you want to,
Boards?
yeah.
Yep. I mean, my
Just
husband
let me
wanted
know.
to, no,
Serious players might bring their own boards. We'll just have to make sure that.
That they're legit.
Yeah.
Like their own bowling ball.
No, I'm
Good
currently
definition
swearing
for
and getting
BYOB,
paint all
bring
over
your
my
own
fingers
board.
from trying to spray paint them fancy. So yeah.
Oh, the boards.
Yeah, they look nice and sturdy.
Awesome.
So, anyway, okay,
Yeah.
that's that. That's cornhole.
You should have made 6.
I'm
and then you
looking
could have
forward
spelled
to
out
it.
Berlin.
The equipment actually, when you buy the boards, is for 4. So everything cuts perfectly.
Looks
so, yeah.
sturdy. And is there any entry? Will we be talking entry fee, or is?
I am not sure what, I think the committee had talked about tickets.
Okay.
But Wednesday, we would know for sure what
Okay.
we wanted to do,
So-
because we don't fundraise on a whole lot at the event. Almost everything is free, but it costs a lot of money to put the event on.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it wouldn't be
So-
anything exorbitant if it was.
Okay.
All right. Are you,
I'm
You're good?
all set. Yes, the complete town administrator report will be put on the website.
all right. Thank
Put
you.
it for your reading pleasure.
So we'll move on to old business. The board designee for the POTUS Solar pilot negotiations. I don't know how interested the two of you are. I don't mind doing it if,
I can do this one.
okay,
That's fine.
all right. So motion to have Lisa do the negotiations with Margaret.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, just a quick update on that. I'm sorry, I should have put it in my town administrator report. We've been in touch with a solar consultant who could serve as the town's owner's agent and advocate on our behalf through the pilot negotiations. Right now, we're working through fees to be either paid upfront by the developer for the town's costs or reimbursed to the town. So we're working through that right now, but I'll keep you
Yeah,
posted.
just let me know what you need.
Oh, okay.
All right. Vote to award the fuel oil for FY20. Services,
Okay, so-
maintenance, and so on.
This is an annual procurement. Mary put out the request for quotes, and there were 3 requests sent out and only 1 response, and that was from Northborough Oil. And that is for 18,500 gallons of number 2 heating oil. And the cost this year, I believe, is the same exact cost per gallon as last year. It's well within the procurement threshold for quotes. It'll total $42,365. And I recommend that the board sign this agreement for heating oil delivery. And
Service.
Heating oil service and delivery.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to sign the document. One thing too, it's my understanding that we have one specific person who actually does the service, and the one year that we went in a different direction, things were difficult. So that's just something to keep in mind if we get other folks turning in quotes.
Okay. That is,
Because we have somebody who knows our systems very well, and they are finicky because they are old.
aha. That's good to
Do I
know.
hear a second?
Sure, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So page 9 needs to be signed, please.
The green or the-
229's not bad.
On both of the originals.
you. And moving on to, are we ready to move on? Yes, we are. To the performance appraisal process.
Okay. Last week, the board and the Personnel Committee approved the annual performance appraisal form. There were some revisions made to it, so it is now approved. And at tomorrow's department heads meeting, we're going to be going over the form and the process. So I just wanted to see if I have board consensus on the proposed process now that you have a town administrator in place, the proposed process for department head reviews by the board. So I'm new and obviously haven't been here for even 2 months. And so what I'm suggesting to departments, or what I've suggested in writing, is that the board will do the annual performance appraisals for the department heads again this year, and each board member will provide independent feedback, and I'll create a composite review form with all board members' feedback, and then meet with a department head. If the board would like to meet with the department heads after the composite reviews are done, I know that you've done that in working sessions in the past, I think. Is that my understanding that correctly?
We did it individually because at that time we had liaisons.
I see. Okay, so I'm happy to meet with the departments on the composite reviews that I've done from board feedback. So we can do it that way.
All right.
I do hope that we're going to remain on track. I've kind of extended the October 1st deadline to Friday, October 4th. 3 extra days, 3 bonus days. So tomorrow I will, I'm trying to think how best to get the board your review forms for all department heads so you can start working on them. We'll create them and I'll get them put together and sent out to you.
Just email?
Yeah. Or if you'd like them in paper, we can provide those too, so. All right, so that's gonna start, the completed performance appraisals will be submitted to the Personnel Committee as they've been in the past. And then once the performance appraisal is all done, signed, complete, they're going to go into the personnel file, into each employee's personnel file in my office.
Okay, perfect. Just
Sounds
one
good.
question, and I didn't notice when I was going through. The employees will sign their reviews also.
They're supposed to sign the reviews. It doesn't necessarily indicate agreement with a review. I am going
It
to...
just indicates that
they've seen it.
and discussed. And
They've seen it. And they are certainly welcome to attach comments if they disagree with their review. That can be done and attached. But it's the review that's signed by the supervisor and the employee that is the official performance review.
And then those comments would come back to us at least so that we're aware of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Moving on to the COA van policies.
The Council on Aging has a quorum for a meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And they are going to be, the Council on Aging is going to be provided the van policy and procedures, the van driver policy and procedures, the forms associated with use of the van, and the van driver job description, all for the Council on Aging's review and approval tomorrow. Now, if the board would like to wait for that meeting to happen before you act on these, that's fine, but you have seen these previously for your review, and if you're ready to approve them tonight, you could certainly do that. And I could report to the Council on Aging tomorrow that the board has approved these policies.
That's fine with me. And then if they have changes of some kind, I guess you could bring them back.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
motion to approve the van policies.
Seconded.
We've seen these many times.
Yes, we
have.
Yeah.
And other-
we need
and
to-
other
this-
documents.
This needs to be
Yeah.
done.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty. Agenda procedure.
Did we have to vote on the performance approval process?
Did you want us to vote on the agenda? Yeah.
The performance appraisal process? Did you need a vote on that?
I don't need a vote on
Okay,
that.
all right. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Before we're all running out the door and someone's
I-
like,
And I
Wait
just
a
wanted to be
minute.
sure we're all
Yeah.
on the same page, that
Yeah.
the board is okay with the way that's going to work. Okay. The agenda procedures. This was presented for the first time to the board for review at your last meeting. It's a lengthy document, and I'd understand if the board's not quite ready to act on it tonight. But if you have any comments or recommendations for the draft, feel free to weigh in with those.
I had a few comments. The agenda procedures, is this just ours, Margaret, or is this going to be across the board for every appointed group, volunteer group who has agendas, that they follow this?
This is just
This
for
is
you
ours? Okay.
at this time, but that doesn't mean that other boards and committees can't
Follow
use.
it?
Yeah, can't follow it or use something different or similar.
On the second page, second paragraph, which says anyone wishing to meet with the selectmen must submit their request in writing. Do you want to have that as email too? Because I noticed that you have the emails down below, yours and Mary's.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know if you wanted to bring them up or just reference them where people can find them. I mean, people know how to contact Mary, but you may be a little bit different because you're new.
We could note there that we could say to the email addresses below. We could point people to that.
Do we maybe want a little more time with this, and we can send any
That would be
suggestions by next week?
Send them to
Send them
Margaret?
to Margaret.
Yeah, and we
Okay.
can incorporate those as markups.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have the most recent one here.
This is the one I sent to you last night.
Oh, okay.
It came off the
I
Google
had this
Drive.
one printed, so
Yeah,
I
okay.
just used it, but
Alright.
it may not be. Is the most recent one also in the Google Drive? Mary?
It's dated September 3rd.
Okay, September 3rd.
And it's in the Google Drive
All right.
for tonight's meeting and your last, both meetings.
Alrighty. So we'll move on to the revised surplus property policy.
This was a policy and procedure that was in need of update because it was more than 10 years old, and so things had changed. There was, the board had it for review at your last meeting, and I'd like to review this with department heads starting tomorrow, just to kind of provide a refresher on procurement. Does the board have any comments or suggestions on this?
I think I'm all set with this one.
Yep, motion to approve.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you.
Oh, one quick thing, just before we
yes.
go. Trade-in when making a purchase, the IFB is...
Invitation
IFB?
for bids.
Okay.
Yeah, I can spell that out.
Thank you,
Or the request for proposals.
thank you.
All right. We're moving on to new business, Community Preservation Committee, the at-large seat recommendations.
I've put together a recommendation for the board regarding the 2 at-large appointments. Understanding that the bylaw and statute requires membership from specific boards and committees of the town. In Berlin's case, Planning Board, Conservation Commission, Historical Commission, Recreation Committee, and Housing Partnership. That with the at-large appointments, the board might want to consider balancing the community preservation needs and the resources of the town. And as one of the resources of the town, consider financial resources. So my recommendation is for the board to add, I'll read from this that I proposed, to add by its 2 at-large appointments to the to the Community Preservation Act Committee, residents of the town who are not members of the representative boards to CPAC and who have broad knowledge of the community's overall needs and the financial management challenges the town faces in meeting those needs within the limits of Prop 2.5. It just opens it up, and it's not a requirement, it's a guideline.
Yeah.
Comments?
My only suggestion was to also include that they should not have been on the board or those boards or
Oh.
committees previously.
So who are not current or prior members?
Yeah.
Current or past.
There may not be anyone out there.
Yeah, but it's
We'll
important
see.
because a lot of people, they've been on those committees, they were really
Right.
invested, they stepped off, and you could very easily have an end
Yes.
around that way.
Mhm.
Right.
So, so we'd add the words current or past to the third line from the bottom.
That sounds good. Peg, anything?
No, all good.
All right, do you need a vote? You want a vote to approve, please?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Julie, you had asked about this. Do you want a copy?
That would be great.
Okay. You take mine, or if there's one there.
You're more than welcome.
All right. Revised access to town council policy, the new business.
Okay, so this is a first reading for the board, or the first review for the board. The town had established use of legal counsel procedures, and this revision to the use of legal counsel policy and procedure recognizes the town administrator in the mix, where in the past it was just select board, requiring board action, etc. This also provides for enforcement if there are habitual offenses to the established procedures. It still is fairly simple in that a request form doesn't have to be submitted, and we don't have to go through all those steps, but it does require the communication from the requesting department, board, or committee to the town administrator, and the communications protocol with the board to legal counsel. So it provides all of that. So I ask that the board review this for approval, for comments, and then approval at your next meeting.
Okay.
By the way, Mary helped me put this together based on some models I had.
Mhm.
And it required some real trimming down, I have to say, from what, didn't it, Mary? Nice job.
All right. Moving on to board questions and comments. Got your list?
I do, I have my list. I know, we just need to rename this PEG, that section. So, a couple weeks ago, I met with the Lions Club, and I don't know if you've seen it in town, but the big white board now has a huge advertisement for sign up to volunteer. So, yeah, so thank you to the Lions Club. It took a bit of work to whittle it down to only so many words, but that's up there, so thank you. The building on Linden Street by the railroad tracks that was riddled with really bad graffiti. Dave Smith had reached out to somebody in state. They didn't do anything, so I started to nag, and I'm good at nagging. No, there are no comments about that. The state, after my second, you'll respond to me by Friday, right? Said that they will come and clean the building, so we don't need the use of the sheriff's department. Because it's an older building, they have the special equipment to clean it, so I'll keep an eye on that. Holly, our COA director, and Chief Clark worked on the agreement, even though last week he said that they would assist the seniors when they needed to change their batteries. She wanted it in writing because I guess she had run into a few problems where some of the firefighters said, I'm not going into somebody's house unless it's an emergency. So we got Chief to put it in writing. She's coming up with a really nice flyer to hand out. I told her I'd post it once it gets there, so psych. that's taken care of. And then a couple weeks ago, I had talked about something that had come in from one of our residents in town, that schools were allowing credit for physical education if they helped out seniors in town, raking, weeding, shoveling. So I emailed Superintendent Houle over at Assabet and Superintendent Zangi at Tohoto, and Holly and I have appointments with them in 2 weeks. So boom chakalaka, they are very much interested in seeing what they can do to assist, to help take care of the residents in town. So again, I know it's not going to be like a speedy quick thing, but they're interested and said, come on in. So Holly and I are going on in, because she mirrored it after, there's a program, I guess, in Sterling that does it. So she sent me the website, I sent it to them, they went, all right. So we're going in. So we'll see what we can do
Could
with
also be
Tohoto and
community
Assabet.
service for students, right?
Yeah, so I don't know if there's existing programs or how they'll do it, but I'm just thrilled that both superintendents said, come, let us see if we can help.
Good.
So that's all, that's me, I'm done.
Yeah, just a quick question. It seems like we are trying very hard to put more information out to the community on boards and blinky signs and all kinds of things. Do we need to consider as a town putting a sign of our own on town property that's not a yellow, something that's a little
Yeah.
bit more official and perhaps more attractive?
Then the blinky
and
sign,
that
you
we
mean?
have then the blinky sign, and
Okay.
also the Lions Club. That's not our venue,
Right.
and it would be nice if we had maybe something
Somewhere, yeah.
somewhere, and I'm not sure where that would be.
Mhm.
But if we're going to do this, then I think we should maybe look at
Yeah.
doing it in a.
I agree, because then we're in control. I'm not always bugging Dave, I'm
Right.
not always bugging the Lion folk
Mhm.
to get our messages up.
Yeah, and it's not unheard of for a town to have such a thing.
To have a nice permanent LED signboard.
Right.
Yeah, there are several towns that have those. I have a thought on that.
Something with solar.
You have a thought on it?
That, so we're not upping the electric bill
Yeah,
preferably.
yeah, the solar powered LED signboard. I have a thought.
Okay.
That's okay. I'll think about it.
Just,
I'm sure at some
you know,
point.
You're volunteering to update the board?
Yeah.
Hey, Dave won't let me anywhere near the blinky sign board, even though I keep
Yeah.
asking him, so.
I could get out of it really easy.
Yeah, no, that would be great, since that seems to be the way. Because as we had talked about, where some of the seniors don't have interweb, you know, they don't go out there, but we want these messages out, so paper, gets lost, thrown out, put something up.
And I'm not sure what the best location for
I
that
know.
would be, but I think we need to.
I know, because you have competing signs with the Lions board if you stick it in the
Yeah,
center or
yeah,
on the
it's-
church,
and-
and,
Might
And
have
you
to
never
do it
know what's
here.
going to be where, and there's no official place, and there's no, I mean,
Correct.
it's, yeah.
because blinky
This
sign
isn't
moves
working
around
for
by
me.
the old fire station, at the corner, down by the golf.
Been down
Yeah.
there for quite a while.
Yeah, it has been for a
Yeah.
while.
I mean, maybe it's something you put out, right out here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of people take the corner.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's a
All right.
that's a good idea.
Food for
It would be-
thought. huh?
Yes.
Did you have anything else, Lisa? So, are we confirmed we are confirmed, like you said, October 23rd at 6:30, for our October 23rd Selectmen's meeting, followed by the coffee talk at 19 Carter, rather than here.
So would you like me to confirm with any guests? Would you like me to confirm with the police chief and fire chief on that date?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a good opportunity for the folks to meet Chief Clark. I don't know how many have, and I'm sure that there'll be tons of concerns regarding speeding, traffic, marijuana that may come up, so I don't want to put any of us to speak to it. I'd rather have the
Yeah.
folks there.
So I'll even reach out to Dave regarding road issues and things like that.
I think in general, most of the questions tend to be for police,
Yep.
fire, or highway.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are not questions for us, they're
Correct.
questions for them.
Okay.
I'm sure trees will be a big thing for Dave.
And I'd like to consider having Ross from NVRDD come
Oh.
to our next coffee talk.
Not
perhaps.
October, but the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. If there's nothing else, We do not have an executive session to approve executive session minutes, correct?
No.
Okay. I'm just maybe thinking I'm losing, emails somewhere that there were minutes that I didn't see. All right, then I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Mr. B.